Welcome to We Don't Have Cookies with your host, Jason Marshall.
Hey everybody, thanks for downloading the show. We're going old school today. My guest was a regular ever since the first year of the podcast. He's a science teacher, he's a comedian, he's a Facebook user.
You bet.
It's Mike Canestaro.
Thank you. I'm old school, right? I'm
That's
retro.
right.
That's how old I am. I feel retro.
I'm so old school, I get up to change the television channel at the box. I don't even use the controller.
Really?
That's right.
Yeah, that's hard to do. Even.
It is.
You gotta like feel around the back, hey, there's a little button there. Oops, wrong one, and you hit the right one.
It takes forever to go from my local channel to go to ESPN. I mean, it's pretty far up there.
Dang, you are retro.
That's
But
right.
retro is sometimes charming. That's just labor that you don't need to do. But I guess, okay, hey, whatever works for you, Jason. I'm glad to be your retro guy here. So,
well, Mike, just for the benefit of the listeners, I think to help get them into the story, it would be nice if we just went over what we're wearing. You can go first.
I'm wearing some Christmas socks and khaki pants and a jacket because it's hellishly cold outside and windy and rainy. And I just want to get super warm before I go back out there.
It's very sexy, Mike.
Thank you. If you could look at me, I'm like a just spitting image of style and class.
And just for everybody else, I am wearing a flannel black and gray shirt with some jeans and black and gray socks. So
Yeah. We are killing it. We're crushing it here.
I think it just helps people visualize. It feels like they're in the room now. They know what we're wearing. They know what they're wearing.
They can see the sadness. They can feel the sadness.
And I would actually like it if the listeners would send me an email, jason@wedon'thavecookies.com. Let me know what you're wearing right now.
Yeah, that sounds not creepy at all, Jason. It's like what we're wearing is the Giving Up collection. It's the fall Giving Up collection, and then you probably have some much more sexy and attractive listeners that probably are going to be like, I don't know if I'm going to. Then again, I'd be interested in hearing what everybody's wearing.
Talking about the Giving Up collection, man, there's a guy in Indiana who has decided to live in a tent on the roof of his restaurant until the Bengals win a game. How long do you think he's going to be up there?
A couple of years.
At least till the end of this season, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. They've been tight in some games, though. So I think maybe I'm going to say a month. They're going to They're going to notch win number one at some point. It's not going to be a full year. I know I have no sports prognostication skills, but that's what I'm going to say. They ain't going to go 0-16. It's the NFL, man.
I don't know. The Browns did one year, didn't they?
They did, yeah. But, they could have, anybody can beat anybody in the NFL. So there you go. And I'm thinking also a lot of your fans are listeners. Well, of course, a lot of your fans are listeners.
I hope so.
A lot of your listeners are fans of the NFL. A lot of your fans are listeners. A lot of your people have ears.
It would be awkward if you were a fan of mine, but you didn't listen to the podcast.
Yeah, I love that guy. You listen? Nope. Just a fan. Yeah.
I just look at his pictures on Facebook when he posts. Yeah, that's about it.
That's it. Now you got to get more fans. Maybe what we're wearing thing, we didn't go into underwear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that probably you don't want to, do you?
I'm wearing gray boxers.
I wear tidy grays. They're not tidy whiteys. I got to the point where I can't wear tidy whiteys anymore. That's just too. I know I'm retro, but I'm not that retro. So now I wear tidy blues, and they're all cotton. They're part of the Giving Up collection too. It's just like no boxers. Boxers are too cool. Boxer briefs or are they boxers? Just flat out?
No, they're
boxers?
just straight up boxers.
You just like to, just like hanging out there.
That's
like,
right.
What are you doing? Okay, good. I'm sorry. Your fans are listeners, and they are listening, and they're not going to be fans if I keep going on this line of conversation.
Oh, sticking with sports, man. I said in the beginning, this is kind of almost like a retro episode.
Sure.
So we're going to do a retro question on here,
okay,
which is sweet or psychotic. And there was a guy who had finished a half marathon while skipping to set the Guinness World Record. Part of me thinks that's kind of sweet because, you know, you're skipping. I mean, who can hate a guy who's skipping? But then part of me thinks that's pretty fucking nuts to just go skipping.
You know, okay, half marathon. I've run several half marathons. I think skipping is not that much above the feat of running it. You know what I mean? So this guy, I'm going to not say sweet, because sweet is something you do for other people, probably, huh? He's doing that for himself. He wasn't breastfed as a child. He needs attention. And so
that's true.
Not going to go psychotic. I'm just going to say has some needs unfulfilled. But that's closer to psychotic. We got to choose one or other, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, the guy's got issues and he's a psycho.
Because actually you almost pushed me towards sweet, because when you said it wasn't for the benefit of others, I thought, well, it might be, because I got some enjoyment hearing about this guy skipping, and I'm sure there were people in the crowd just laughing and, you know.
Look at him.
But I'm sure that he did that for his own personal gain. He did it just so he could set a record. So I'm going to go with you and say that's pretty psychotic.
I think he's got issues and should go find attention somewhere else.
Is there a Guinness World Record you want to set? Is there anything that you kind of had your eye on? Like, man, I would like to do this.
No. Not at all.
Really?
Not at all. Because most of them require feats of some sort of insane dedication that I could just use that energy to do something else that would be more productive.
There is a lot of time that gets put into that.
Yeah, I mean, if I don't want to stick 87 cigarettes in my mouth, and practice that.
Yeah.
Someone just didn't just do that or something. I don't know how many cigarettes is I don't want to get hate mail from your fans that are listeners, but I don't, how many, cigarettes you could stick in your mouth or something like that. I don't really see how that's I'd rather just do something else productive.
There was a kid who set the record for the most tea bags.
You mean the act? Yeah, because I know people that probably could beat it. I know a lot of comics, and I know a lot of the suits at work that could probably beat that record, whatever it was.
I tried to get a guy on here who set the world record for balancing a running lawnmower on his head.
What?
Yeah.
Where'd he balance it?
I think it was on his forehead, right above where your nose comes in.
Yeah, so he, from where you hold the handle?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Well, I guess you're going to... Jeez. There you go.
That's
a perfect example of why I don't need to set a Guinness World Record.
Yeah.
And aren't they arbitrary? Don't you have to... There probably a lot of There's a lot of things you could do that no one's done before, but does that mean it's going to get into the Guinness Book of World Records?
I don't know.
Yeah, there probably is some sort of gatekeeping panel that says, nope, we're not going to set your record for how many BBs you could swallow, or something. That's not what we want. We're not looking for that. It'd be just like show business, I think.
Yeah.
There's probably tons of people wanting to do stuff like that.
I had a guest on the show who broke a Guinness World Record. Mm-hmm. And he came on, he was talking about how much red tape there is. And you just really got to go through all the stuff, man.
Oh, I thought you were joking, but that's really the truth.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
And then you don't get paid for it, do you?
No.
Yeah, see? So it's just all see, there's another reason. It's a bad system. Guinness should be giving out some dough for that. What is Guinness?
The only thing I know about Guinness is the beer.
It ain't related to beer, is it?
I don't know.
Same organization?
I don't think so. I'll have to check into that.
Who runs Guinness? That's what I want to, know. Who runs Guinness?
We're going to have to do a WDHC investigative report on that someday.
Yeah, I bet you it might be corrupt.
Could be.
Guinness could be.
But that guy, he's an infamous character on the show, or an infamous guest on the show. His name's Odilon Ozare. Mm-hmm. And he made the world's tallest hat.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, they came back and they were like, hey, you got to take this off. This doesn't count. And you have to walk a certain amount of feet while wearing it. And you have to do this and that.
You go. See, now who makes those standards? Mm-hmm. And there's probably a conference room full of people and they bust out laughing after they're like, let's see what we can make this guy do. Dance for me. and then that's probably what's going to happen. It goes on and like, I told him that he needed to walk a few feet. And they all, but here's the thing is there's Guinness books that you buy, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And I assume there's some publishing costs and all that, but the people aren't getting any of the money, right?
No.
There's a museum, right?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So,
I know
where do all these proceeds go? Are they a nonprofit or are they for profit?
It's a good question.
See, I shouldn't ask questions that we have no way of finding out in live media. This is like I just gave you 2 weeks of homework to do. Oh, well.
Speaking of work, I've been doing a lot of yard work lately. I talked about it on the show, but something happened that was pretty funny and at the same time kind of terrifying.
Okay.
You can look right out here through the window in the studio and you can see where the fire pit is.
Uh-huh.
We were cutting a tree down that was close to the fire pit and I had this big bonfire going. We start to cut the tree down. We tie it off at the top. Not really the top. There was a V where we could get a rope and I was going to pull it to make sure it went away from the fire pit.
Yeah.
I'm up there. I have both of my hands tied with this industrial rope to make sure I can pull it this way. My dad notches it so it falls my way. He starts cutting it. For some reason, he notched the other side of the tree too.
Yeah.
Now the tree starts going the other way. No matter how much I want to, I can't pull it. That thing's 40-some feet tall.
Yeah.
It's not going the other way.
You're going to have to let go of that rope or you're going to lose your hands.
That's the thing. I can't let go of the rope because I wrapped them around both of my hands as tight as I could to help me pull it.
Oh, my God.
Now it falls on top of the burning fire pit that's got flames going about 4 feet high. I mean, the fire pit was just stacked. I go, it looked like I was on water skis. I go from here to the other side of the room. And for listeners, that's about 10, 15 feet, maybe 20, just sliding across the grass, holding this rope as this tree just falls on this burning fire.
I'm surprised you didn't get pulled further into the fire, I mean, I'm thinking you could have had your shoulders dislocated.
I was very worried, but at the same time, like normally I would probably be upset, but it was just so stupid and comical and I didn't get hurt that all I could do was just laugh.
Yeah, now you can laugh, but not thinking about it, that must give you fits at night thinking like what could have happened.
Well, the other thing too is the tree's on the fire. Now we have to cut up this tree while it's trying not to let it burn.
You don't have to cut it all up. You can let the part in the fire could just burn, right?
That's what we did is just cut the other side.
Cut the ends off.
Because I had that fire pit going so hot. You could cut a tree down, throw it on the fire pit, and it would just burn it up.
Yeah, sure. Everything burns if the furnace is hot enough. Yeah. Crazy.
And for anybody out there listening, I don't know if I went over this, but I had been burning in the fire pit for a very long time. I lost track after 45 days, but it was somewhere between 48 and 52 days is when I quit burning stuff out there.
Wow.
So
just in a row.
Yeah.
What's the Guinness World Record for that? That's what I want to know.
Oh man, I should
see that wouldn't get through. Nah, it's not too boring. You made a fire in your fire pit for 45 days. What's the Guinness record? We don't know. There you go. I got it. So far I've got it.
I wish I would have thought of that.
I don't know how you document that kind of thing.
Well, I took a picture because one day it was just pouring rain and the fire was still going. I had so much stuff
crazy.
and it was so hot.
Yeah,
but
no, if you get it hot enough, it's nuts.
How's your dad doing? He was somebody...
He's kicking around. Kicking around. We just went through having a visit with him.
He's somebody I'd like to have on the show sometime. Very entertaining guy.
Yeah, and I think, did I ever show you that he's got a viral video of,
No.
He had a video where he was just playing with contact cement. If you go to YouTube and you Google stuck up with contact cement and you see an older guy just with it all over his hands, sticking everywhere, and he can't even, he's like trying to get it off this hand, it gets stuck to that hand, and he pulls it up. He actually ended up selling that video, and if you go look on Fail Army, they'll have it on once in a while. And then once in a while, he gets a royalty payment from it.
Nice.
And he doesn't even know what happens. And somebody from my high school will be like, I saw your dad in a bar, on TV in a bar. Fail Army is probably a good bar show to have on. So, yep. That's one of his claims to fame.
Did you say it's on YouTube too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just look up Stuck Up with Contact Cement. You'll see my dad there.
All
So,
right.
yeah. Dutchtown RD. That's his handle on YouTube. And he's trying to replicate doing some other stuff, but he's never had the same kind of luck. You know, that's how it is with YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still doing great.
Nice. I'll have that on the front page of the website, wedon'thavecookies.com, and I'll have it on the Facebook page too. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, it is cool. Yeah, you know, it's a pretty funny video too.
I've been cleaning out my barn while I'm doing everything else here, and talking about people laughing. I had this huge box. One of my recliners actually came in the box. So, I mean, this thing is like 4 or 5 feet tall and just as wide. I had that entire thing filled with old hangers that were just laying around in the barn. And I had another box full and then a bag full. And I had them out at the curb for the trash man to pick up. All the years I've been living here, just one trash man comes and gets the trash and throws it in. This particular day, even the driver was out of the trash truck with the guy who normally throws it in the back. They were both just looking and laughing at it.
What would they end up doing?
They threw him in there and you know, got rid of them. But yeah, they were just looking and just be like, oh my God. I wish I would have took a picture and I could have thrown it up on the Facebook
What's the
page.
Guinness World Record for that? Is what I want to know.
How many hangers have you thrown away at one time?
That's a good question. I think I can't ever find enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I probably none. I don't think I've ever well, you break them.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I'm not going to rival if you're trying to gun for the record, I'm not going to rival you. Don't worry. You got no competition from me.
What's the coolest hanger you've ever seen? Is there a hanger that just...
Hanger 18. If you believe in that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a good hanger.
Yeah.
That'll stand
that's
out.
The best one. You know? All our secrets are in there. Stupid.
One thing that stood out to me is I saw a pumpkin in the news. It was 2,175 pounds. It set the record for the biggest pumpkin ever grown in California. But the thing that stood out to me the most was it wasn't the record for the country or the world.
Just California?
Yeah. So I wonder how big the biggest pumpkin is. But can you imagine that, though? 2,175 pound pumpkin.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even picture how big that would be. And then what do you do with it?
Right.
You can't, what do you do with the thing? Pumpkins are kind of dumb if you think about it. What do you do with a pumpkin? And I guess the innards of it, you go and you make a pie out of it, right?
That's what you could do. You make the biggest pie in the world, biggest pumpkin pie, and then you set another record.
You could make it a double whammy, but then there's probably rules against that, you know? And you ever notice you make your own pumpkin pie and it's not as good as the shit in the can?
I've never tried, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you go and you do all this crap, get all the seeds out of it, you get all that goop in the middle, you try to make a pumpkin pie, you got to add all these spices to it, and then it's not as good as the shit you buy in a can for $1.
And real quick, I don't mean to cut you off, but just for people listening, Mike took his jacket off.
Yeah, I was getting hot, man. You remember how I was trying to save? Now I got an Adidas running kind of synthetic shirt on.
Just setting the scene for the listeners.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was getting this nice and toasty warm in here. I was cold outside and who knows what's going on, just for intrigue purposes. If anybody's thinking like, should I hang in there for the next 5 to 8 minutes or however long it's going to, I might take something else off.
There you
You
go.
never know. Maybe that wouldn't be a good thing. Maybe your fans would not be listeners if I do that. They could conjure that image up. Like, I used to be a fan. Now I'm not a fan or a listener.
Have you ever seen these people growing these pumpkins and what they put into that?
Yeah, it's a big deal. You know, when they go and they kind of tent up all the, you know, I've seen videos on growing a giant pumpkin and they do it so they can take it to the state fair.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they probably could use the same land area for something beneficial. But I'm not trying to, you know, whatever floats your boat. They're not like, you know, out there synthesizing drugs or something. So I guess they're, you know, I should easy up on them, but what a waste of time.
What gets me, and I never would have ever imagined people do this, but they go out and they pour gallons of milk on
milk.
the pumpkin.
Yeah, milk. Now, I don't know if you saw, and I don't want to promote myself, although, it's going to happen. That's like, that's like,
right. That's why you're here.
I don't mean to be rude, but that means I'm going to be rude. But this summer on my YouTube channel, I actually planted a bunch of squash in public places.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I just thought it'd be cool if where you get off the ramp to 35, that little mulch pile where there's these beautiful little plants, if I could just throw squash in there. And I ended up probably planting 100 different squash plants. The yellow ones, the crooknecks, they are really prolific, by the way. Planted a couple of zucchinis. And then by the time I got down to the late summer, I had about 6 hardcore big ass plants growing off of Fairfield Road and Beaver Creek.
Wow.
And I had a lot of them got removed. Park areas, wherever there's mulch. And then I guess I just did that for my own amusement. I was on bike rides and I just it's pretty easy to go boink and stick a seed in the ground.
So you're like our generation's Johnny Appleseed.
I am. I'm a eco flash mobber.
You're Mikey Squash Seed.
I am Mikey Squash Seed. And the thing is, I think next year, I think pumpkins would make a bigger statement. But what I really enjoyed with this is that I know people were picking them. People walking dogs or running or whatever, they were picking them. I could tell there's a big, huge 1 foot one there one day. Next day it's gone. They didn't take the plant out. They just picked the squash. I probably had people pick 25 different squash. So I guess I shouldn't be too critical of the pumpkin people because I did this out of goofiness, but people ate I assume they ate what I put out there. And I assume the soil wasn't poisoned with heavy metal toxins, but I can't be sure. I didn't hear. The police haven't come calling.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So that was something I did this summer. I'm kind of proud. Next year, I think I'm going to move my way up to like tomatoes or something and pumpkins, where street signs are planted in the ground and the concrete. You could pour some soil in there and kind of wind them up. That's what I'm going to do. I have a Facebook group called Let's Plant Vegetables in Random Places. I'm not kidding. Go look for it. Ask to join. That's all. I'm not even, you're looking at me like you're full of shit. I'm serious. You can go look. Let's all plant vegetables in random places. I'm pretty sure I got the exact wording of the Facebook group.
Nice.
And I got people motivated. They're like eggplants. Somebody else wants to do something else. We were thinking sunflowers. That's not a vegetable, but you get the idea. It's vegetable in a metaphoric sense. Even squash isn't a vegetable. It's a fruit.
So this is really taking off, huh?
No. No, it's like most of what I do. I just cast all my ideas out there like they're baby sea turtles and only like one survives, and maybe if that. So I'm not, I don't think this is going to be a success at all, but I'm doing it again next year. I ride a bike around. I like plants. So there you go.
All right.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you'd like to promote before you go?
Of course. No, I'm joking, but I do want to say that I will be finishing my second novel in a couple weeks. It's titled Big Trouble in Jackass Flats. It's a comedic Western romance.
Okay.
Jackass Flats is actually the town where all the ruckus happens, and I did use names there's modern themes. Like, what if the characters from a Western were more modern? What if modern concepts infiltrated a Western? And I think I've talked to you about working on this maybe a year or two ago.
Yeah.
It's going to be birthed in a couple weeks. So I'm really just happy to be almost done with it. So
sounds good.
Yeah, it'll be on Amazon and all the other places where people sell books, and it'll probably be around $10, something like that. My name is not worth anything greater than $10, But the main character's name is Slim Goodbody. Do you remember that name?
Yeah.
Slim Goodbody.
Yeah, he's the guy that did like I don't know, he wasn't the guy that did aerobics, but he wore like the spandex that had all the organs on his body, right?
Yeah, and I just used the name because I thought it was funny. You don't think they'll sue me, do you?
I don't know.
Our names,
I'm wondering if I need to edit this out now.
No, I don't think so. It was on Captain Kangaroo. All those people who produced that are probably dead, right?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe that wasn't a good. You get a cease and desist order usually, and then you go change it to Slim Goodbody. You changed the one letter.
A Y to an E.
Body. Or buddy. Slim Good Buddy.
There you go.
That's what'll happen. So and that means people have read it enough to get pissed off about that name. The mayor of the town's name is Harvey Wallbanger. You ever heard that drink before? A Harvey Wallbanger? The woman, the romantic interest, her name is Lily Sitzbath. You remember sitz baths?
Uh-huh.
Well, you never had them.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, that's when after you're pregnant, I guess you. So I'm kind of happy to be done. I think it's cute.
Sounds great, Mike. Well, thanks for being on, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks again. Always good to be here, Jason.
Do you have a Dumbass of the Year nomination, idea for the show, or just want to say hi? Send an email to jason@wedon'thavecookies.com or call 929-266-9342 and leave a voicemail.
Hey, this is Kevin Allison of the Risk Podcast, and you're listening to We Don't Have Cookies.
I am back, and joining me right now is the podcast's official weatherman, Frankie MacDonald. Frankie, what will the weather be like starting on Monday?
It's going to start off nice in New York City, then it rains. Going to move on later on the week in New York City and all across Detroit, Michigan, and the southern Ontario and Canada. It's going to bring a lot of snow in Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and all these places. And in South Africa, it's getting lots of tropical cyclones this year, same with Mozambique and Madagascar. It's going to bring lots of cyclones, Mertis and La Reunion and Madagascar. And in summer 2019, 2020, including northern New Zealand, Fernando, New Caledonia, Fiji Islands, French Polynesia, and all these places. I'm upgraded to an international weatherman worldwide. And it's going to bring Japan had over 200 millimeters of rain on Friday, including Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, and all those places.
Wow. That's a lot going on around the world, Frankie.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for people who are going out for Halloween this week?
Be very, very, very careful. Don't go near bad kids. Stay away from bad kids. They can smash pumpkins, cause vandalism, things like that.
When you were a kid, what was your favorite costume to go trick-or-treating in?
I dressed up as Ghost and dressed up as Power Rangers, dressed up as Jason Voorhees when I was a little boy. And then I dressed up as construction worker and things like that.
Very cool. I'd like to play a game with you if you have time.
Yeah.
The game is called Trick or Tweet. I'm going to read 3 tweets that former guests have made in the past week, and I want you to tell me if they're real tweets or if they're tricks. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Elena Davies tweeted, "This is where I get my hate mail." Trick or tweet?
Trick.
That's right. That's actually in her Twitter bio, not a real tweet.
Another trick is somebody selling pirated version of Windows 10 Pro key on Amazon. I reported that to him because somebody put a product key trying to upgrade to Windows 10 Pro for $12 Canadian. And did you hear about that? That this copy of Windows is not genuine. Activate your Windows now. That doesn't work. It's a pirated. That's another trick.
Yeah, it's a good thing you reported that guy. That's a bad thing to do.
Yes.
I got another one for you. This is from Darren Carter. "Here comes Santa Claus. # still celebrating Christmas." Trick or tweet?
Tweet.
That's right, Frankie. Great job. The last one is Frankie MacDonald tweeted, "I'm doing great so far." Trick or tweet?
Tweet.
Correctamundo, Frankie. You got all 3 right. Good job.
Somebody's selling pirated version of Windows 10 Pro and just end up with Windows 10 Enterprise pirated product key. That means on Amazon, it's not a good thing at all. That means it's the pirated version of Windows 10 Enterprise that's pirated. That's a trick altogether.
Yeah, so make sure if you're on Amazon, do not get that pirated version of Windows 10. Before you go, I have a serious question for you. Is the meaning of life the same for animals and humans?
And dogs doesn't live as long as humans. Dog years go by 7 years.
They do, Frankie. That's a very good point. Is there anything you'd like to promote before you go?
If people can buy Frankie MacDonald action figures on Amazon website, and people can buy Talking Frankie MacDonald bobbleheads on National Bobbleheads Hall of Fame and Amazon as well. People can get a copy of my book on Amazon. Be prepared, Frankie MacDonald Guide to Life Letter and everything. Like a huge news for you. Ontario Library Association, Fox, 1,400 copies of my book directly from the Nimbus Publishing in Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Wow.
And my book got nominated the Forced Reading Awards and Yellow Catter Book Awards. My book was nominated. Again.
Man, that's a great thing to have happen, Frankie. Congratulations.
And last fall, my book, Be Prepared, the Frank Dow Guide to Life, Weather, and Everything, has won Moonbeam Children's Book Award. Be Prepared, the Frank Dow Guide to Life, Weather, and Everything won the Moonbeam Children's Book Award.
That's really awesome, Frankie. Congratulations again. I bet you're very proud of that.
And last fall, the Halifax radio station, Atlantic Car Stereos up in Halifax and Q104 has chosen me to do the commercial for the Atlantic Car Stereos on the Q104 radio station. Then the Great Canadian Dollar Store has chosen me to do the Great Canadian Dollar Store for my book, Be Prepared, Frank Dow Guide to Life, Weather, and Everything last November, and I did great. And the St. John radio station in the Car Stereo in St. John's, Newfoundland also chosen me to do their commercial last year, and I did great as well.
You've been really busy, huh, Frankie?
Yeah.
All right, Frankie, well, I want to thank you for being on the show this week. I'll talk to you next week. Yes,
I'm Frankie MacDonald. You were listening to We Don't Have Cookies.
Always a good time talking to Frankie MacDonald. The treepocalypse is still going strong. Since the last episode, I bought 4 more shade trees that get really nice fall color. But the coolest thing that I got was a brand new variety of white blackberries, and I got a blueberry bush that grows pink blueberries. I dedicated a couple of the trees that I planted this year to family members and a friend. If you would like to own a piece of Marshall Manor, aka the Cookie Castle, you can donate $10 to the podcast. I'll dedicate one of the trees in the yard after you. Once you make the donation, send me an email and I'll let you know which trees are available, and you can tell me which one you'd like to be your tree. I'll send you a picture of it. And from there on out, it will be your very own tree in my yard. There's plenty to pick from. Just go to WeDon'tHaveCookies.com, scroll to the bottom of the homepage and click that donate button. Or you can send me an email and I'll give you my PayPal email. This week's episode had more of a vibe of the early days of the show, so it's only right if I bring back this week's Dumbass of the Year. This week's Dumbass of the Year goes to Paul Bedard of Gator Boys Alligator Rescue. He was called to remove an 8-foot alligator from a family swimming pool. He got the alligator, muzzled it, and then posed for pictures while he held it over his head. I get that it had a muzzle, but you don't want to be screwing around with an alligator. It could still hit you with its tail, or something can happen with a muzzle. You know, accidents happen, and screwing around with an 8-foot alligator is not very smart and could have been a very bad day. Speaking of days, here are this week's strange days. If you're listening to this on the day it comes out, Monday, October 28th is International Animation Day. So watch a couple episodes of The Simpsons. Sounds like a good way to celebrate. Tuesday is Internet Day, but I kind of feel like every day is Internet Day. Wednesday is Candy Corn Day, and I don't think anybody should celebrate that day ever. Candy corn is gross. Thursday is Magic Day, and if you haven't seen the TV show called The Carbonaro Effect, Thursday would be a good day to check that out, and you will thank me for it. Friday is Author's Day. That's a holiday you can write home about. Saturday is Deviled Eggs Day, which is another food I really don't like. Sunday is Zero Tasking Day, which sounds awesome. And it is also Sandwich Day, which sounds equally as awesome. Not going to bother saying who is coming up soon, because every time I do that, it seems like the podcast doesn't come out for a week. So anytime you hear me say that a list of people are coming up, just assume there won't be an episode next week. Last week wasn't my fault, though. A listener sent me an email, and I ended up getting the flu because of it. Went to the doctor, and the doctor told me that most viruses are transmitted through email, so that's why there wasn't a show last week. But there will be a show next week. I'll talk to you then.
Thanks for listening. Tell your friends about the show and leave a review. See you next time.
Pumpkins are kind of dumb if you think about it.